Hello everyone and welcome back to another Movie Nights movie review. Today we are talking about Materialist. This film was written and directed by Celine of Past Lives fame, the phenomenal movie that was nominated for Best Picture last year. And this film is about a young, ambitious New York City matchmaker finding herself torn between the perfect match and her imperfect ex. And those are played by Pedro, Pascal, and Chris Evans. The lead is Dakota Johnson, of course. There's another actor I want to shout out in the movie, though, who I thought really stood out and did a fantastic job. And her name is Zoe Winters. I was unfamiliar with her work. She did a phenomenal job in this movie, especially when you consider her performance is supposed to be somebody who tricks the audience into thinking they're a background character, who then comes into play later, and then the performance reminds you, I was never a background character. And like that, I think it takes a lot of talent to do, and I just wanted to shout out her performance. She was really good. Let's dive into the review. I have seen so much discourse on this movie, and this review is late. And it's partially late just because, we're busy and we have a lot of stuff to do, but also because I almost gaslit myself into thinking that, I should have a different opinion on the movie than I had, just from the insane stuff I was seeing online after I had watched the movie. And it's fascinating because, on one hand, film is subjective, and most criticism you see comes down to just how someone feels about a movie. And I've seen some criticisms of the movie that I completely understand. Mostly being, hey, I was kind of told in the marketing that this was going to be a rom-com, and it's not that. And I feel like I got duped. On that level, I completely understand that criticism. It doesn't apply to me, but I completely understand why someone would feel that way. Then you see other criticism. I promise we're getting to the review. Then you see other criticism that just has some unbelievable takes about the movie and the characters, treating the movie, and this is what upsets me, it treats the movie as if it's some basic, shitty movie that didn't take into effect certain elements of the plot and the characters in the story, and this movie is quote-unquote, actually I shouldn't say what it is because it's a spoiler, but you get a lot of these things of just calling the movie something where you're like, did you watch the movie? Because I'm going to be honest with you, Nicholas. I think this movie is fucking fantastic. I thought it was wonderful. It's one of my favorite movies of the year so far. And I feel as if I can't say that online. And it's one of those things where I thought Celine wrote an incredible script. I thought she directed it impeccably. I think that this movie has so much to say about the modern dating scene. But more than that, it has so much to say about love and relationships in general. Celine's song just has this way to tap into real people in her stories, where every character feels like a real person. Every character is flawed. Nobody is a surface-level storytelling device. Because a worse filmmaker, and even if I was making a rom-com, I would do the same exact thing, where I would just make one of the characters a bit more douchey, a bit more evil, so that way the decision at the end is very easy. This film does not do that. And I wouldn't even call this film a rom-com, which is going back to earlier why I get that criticism. This film is a drama. It is a romance drama that I think is done exceptionally well. And this is not an easy decision for these characters to make throughout the entire film. And whoever, again, I don't want to spoil it, but the people who don't end up together, it's not because they're bad people or they deserved it. It's just because that's how life is. And it's the same way throughout the whole movie. And the way that this film is able to explore those relationships while also telling a great story with an amazing arc for the lead character that people keep pretending doesn't exist. It's an amazing arc for this character. And using a subplot that tackles very serious subject matter in a way that felt natural to the movie and as an overlooked thing that happens in life all of the time. This movie's phenomenal, dude. It's great. And I'm fascinated by a lot of the discourse on it. But I can only speak for how I feel. I thought this movie was exceptional. Comparisons to Thief of Joy, is it better than Past Lives? No. But I still think it is another huge win for Celine's song. It tells an incredible story about these very human people. I liked all the performances as well. I thought Dakota Johnson did great. I thought Pedro Pascal did great. I thought Chris Evans did spectacular. And I like just seeing Chris Evans in a role like this outside of what he typically has been doing the past few years. because he has to remind people that he's a very good actor, kind of like when he did Knives Out. It's like, oh, right, Chris Evans is great. And this was another example of that. And again, I thought every piece of casting was genius. Every situation that characters ended up in were genius. And it tackles questions head on about value, about worth, what that means to some people versus others, what it means to you. And the message of the movie at the end of the day just being that you don't have anything without love as your base. It's the only thing you can build on. It was a great movie. I loved it. I watched it and I was like, wow, fantastic. Can't wait to get online and see what people are saying. And then I was befuddled. But anyway, I'm going to throw it over to you, buddy. What did you think of Materialists?
No, I agree. I agree with you. I love the movie personally. I do agree. I think I give the edge to Past Lives. But what confused me about the discourse is like I feel like you could almost make a similar critique with how Past Lives plays out, and
Yeah.
I think it's just a testament to the writing. Because to me, I think there's some exaggeration on the characterization of the three leads in this movie, but within the context of the movie as a whole, they felt like real people.
Mm-hmm.
And the movie treats them as real people. And I think that real people are not, one thing or the other. They're a mix of so many different things, so many different personality traits, so many different histories that it's hard. And it feels like the discourse online is being reductive of the movie and of the characters. And I thought that Celine Song wrote very complex, very interesting characters who, they don't all have arcs necessarily, but the ones that do have arcs, the arcs are phenomenal. And the ones that don't have arcs kind of serve a purpose to the greater narrative for not having an arc. And I think that was kind of the most interesting dynamic of it is how she was playing with where all of these characters are at in their lives, what they all want and why they want it. And to watch Dakota Johnson's character arc go through, especially when they bring in the Zoe Winters storyline, which I
Mm-hmm.
agree I thought was handled very well. I've seen some discourse online about that as well, just saying it was unnecessary. But to me, I felt like
Incredibly necessary.
it was completely necessary to the arc that they wanted Dakota Johnson to go off of. And
Mm-hmm.
but I will say, I think it was a bold move and it
Yeah,
was a risky move that to me worked out. And there were ways they could have played it safe, but I think the movie is better for it.
I agree.
Um, and I think that I'm not even a big Dakota Johnson fan, and I really liked her in the movie. I thought she did a great job. And I liked the journey going on with these characters. I like the interplay. I've seen a lot of stuff about lack of chemistry amongst all of them, which I disagree with. I thought each of them had terrific chemistry amongst each other.
I agree completely.
And no, I just in Celine's Song We Trust, I really enjoyed this movie.
No, same. And I'll even go to say, I think the three leads all have an arc to varying levels. And seeing how they play out and how each character, how at one point in their life something meant one thing, but at this point in their life it means another thing, versus, the idea of a good match is nothing if you don't love somebody. Like it's such a seemingly simple idea that's dove into and with deep complexity in this movie that I thought was explored wonderfully. And the movie's bookended by scenes that I don't want to spoil because I was very thrown off when I see how the movie opens and how the movie ends. But I thought that was the perfect staple for the story that's being told in the film. And even with one of the characters, again, I'm just trying not to spoil, so sorry I'm being vague. One of the characters has a moment with Dakota Johnson's character where they reveal an enhancement about themselves that's teased early on in the movie separately. That's a beautiful scene, and how that plays out and how it gets to the message of value and being overseen and like everything that humans go through, especially regarding when trying to find a partner or finding love. It was such an eye-opening experience of a scene to see that play out. And I've seen that scene in particular get criticized. And I'm like, guys, it's an amazing scene. Like, what are you talking about? And it's like, I've never been more fascinated by discourse about a movie. And what it tells me, when movies like this come out, where it causes this much conversation and this much discourse, both online and off, you've made something special. And I think Celine Song is an amazing filmmaker who keeps making things that are special. And I love the movie. I can't wait to watch this movie again. I'll be completely honest with you, because I think I'm going to find things I didn't even pick up on the first time. And it's, again, I'm glazing this movie, but it's because I really fucking liked it. Like, I really loved it.
There was great subtle filmmaking and great subtle
Great visual storytelling too. Great
Yes.
visual storytelling too.
Fantastic visual storytelling. That, I don't know, it all clicked for me. I felt the movie wrapped up and resolved in a way that seemed fitting for the movie, quite frankly, and was the more satisfying ending and arc. And it's all due to me, I think, because of the arc of Dakota Johnson's character. Like, you're on this journey with her, and going between these two guys and seeing what those relationship dynamics are like. You're getting information revealed to you as she is receiving the information, and I think that I thought it was just a very well written, well shot, well acted film that I appreciate the complexity of the characters. I keep saying that, but it's true. I feel like a lot of the criticisms, and it's kind of writing off all of these characters as just being one thing individually, and I think they're just so much more than that.
Yeah, I feel like people are treating the movie as like a one-dimensional caricature when it's the exact opposite of that. And that's the fascinating thing. This is the first time I've ever done a review where I felt like I'm on the defense of like what I'm trying to say. But no, just you can only speak to your experience. And look, I've seen criticism of the film that's incredibly valid. I've seen people watch the film where they're like, "Hey, the movie didn't work for me for this, and this reason." Well articulated, excellent. I totally get it. Film is subjective. I just want to let you know that despite the chatter that I've heard and some I've seen other people say, I adore this film, and I think it's great. And that's just kind of where I'm at. That's just kind of where I'm at. But guys, I'm going to regret saying this. Have you seen Materialist? Please give us your thoughts in the comments down below and let us know what you thought. I am genuinely curious and interested in the conversation. If you're going to spoil things, though, please just be careful of it if people might be looking in the comments who haven't seen it yet. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next review.